Hi everybody, my name's Jane Gillings. Welcome to Activity 2 for Creative Reuse for Preschoolers. This activity is called Foam Sculpture, and we're going to be using packaging foam but not styrofoam. Don't worry, we're not using styrofoam. I hate the stuff as much as you do. But there are all sorts of other types of foam that are used in packaging that we can reuse in activities for young children. This activity is aimed at the 3 to 5 year olds, and there's a little bit of preparation involved, but once you've done it, you can reuse the materials over and over again. They can be washed if necessary, not all of them, but a lot of them can be. So I'm just going to run through the different types of foam that you can use and the different types of packaging you can use. There aren't really any particular tools that you need for the children. They can use scissors for some of the foam, but not all of it, and it's probably just best not to use it at all because it means that they need to think a little more about how they're putting their sculptures together. But it does involve some preparation on your part, but not that much. So I'm just going to run through the foams because this is pretty much all we're using. One of the foams that I particularly like, well, and hate at the same time, is this one. It's kind of like a very soft, squashy foam. You find all sorts of appliances, boxes come with this in it. Now to prepare it, we're just going to use a blade. You can just use a blade like this. Now depending on the thickness of the foam, make sure that the blade is nice and sharp and it's going to be able to get through the entire thickness of the foam. So using a cutting mat, you can just cut this. You don't even need a ruler. It cuts really well. They don't have to be neat. It cuts really, really nicely. So then I'm going to cut that into little blocks. So we're pretty much just making little building blocks out of this stuff. I'll leave some a bit longer. I'm going to make some longer bits out of this. Like that, down the middle. Nice long bits. Not too small. That's probably about as small. That's about 1 by 1 centimetre nearly. So don't make it much smaller than that, otherwise it's going to be way too small. We don't want any choking hazards lying around. I'm just going to cut that in half as well. Once they do get to that size, you can just use scissors to cut it as well. Another sort of foam that you can use is this stuff. It's called foam core, and it's used a lot in the framing industry. So if you have a local framer, you'll find that their garbage bin or their skip will be full of this stuff. Again, you can use a blade to cut it. Watching your fingers. I'm just going to reduce that blade. It's a bit too big. Just have your blade out as far as you need it. Don't go too far or you'll have trouble cutting it. Now this is foam within 2 bits of cardboard. So when we come to join this, I'll show you can't really join it from the top. You sort of just have to go in between those 2 little bits of cardboard to join it together. So I'll just cut a few bits of them. I might keep that nice pointy bit there. That's kind of interesting. Here's another type of foam. This is almost a little bit like just your washing up foam. That's kind of useful. Another one of these sort of camping mats, and they come in all sorts of different colours. It's just a really squashy kind of, I don't know what it is actually, what sort of foam it is, but it is quite soft and fun to work with. It's easy to cut as well, and kids can actually cut this if they need to. But again, it's probably best just to keep the scissors out of the whole equation. Now what we're going to do, once we've got that, what else have we got? Just keep a lookout on the sort of packaging you get, because some of it's, I don't know, it's just rare, but once you see it, and once you do this activity, you'll see the potential in foam that you come across in packaging, or any kind of packaging for that matter. But this is a good one. I don't even know what that came from. Okay, so this is a little piece of a pool noodle. It's just the outer pool noodle being chopped up, and they're great because they give you a really good circle shape, which is useful for sculpture. I'll see if I can find another one. I got a whole box of this stuff. I've got lots of different colours and shapes. No, I can't find another one of them, but that's okay. This will do us for now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use some pins to join them together. So the pins we're going to use are either, again, depending on your centre and the kids that you're working with, you'll have to decide what you think is appropriate for the kids that you've got. I've done this activity with quite small children, like the 3 to 5s, using double-ended toothpicks. But if you think that that's a little bit scary and too pointy, then you can always just chop up a whole lot of little skewers into just round dowel like that. You could probably use matchsticks, little colourful craft matchsticks, that'd be fine. But the kids find it a little bit harder to push into the foam. So I would always go with toothpicks, but it depends how much you want to clean up afterwards, or how much supervision you want to give them when you're making this. But they're actually really fun. You'll probably find you want to do it as well. So showing them how to insert toothpicks safely into the foam, like keeping their fingers away. Sometimes you can just put the things on the table and push the toothpicks in like that, and then you can just start building up a sculpture. So it could just be random, doesn't have to sort of have any particular it doesn't have to be anything, which is great. It's just very satisfying putting the bits of foam onto the toothpicks. You can build up really nice three-dimensional sculptures. So I'll just keep doing that. If you cut lots of different shapes, like long pieces and short pieces, you might find that they want to make a figure. So if that's the case, you probably have something like a rectangular prism and 4 of these little things. You could make a person. Well, for a 4-legged animal, you could make an animal, or for 2, you could make a person. But 4 legs are really easier to make stand up, which is quite satisfying. So lay your rectangle down like that, put in the 4 legs. And then you can slide them on. You could add other things like tails. There's my 4-legged animal, and then a little head on top. So it's a really simple figurative sculpture. Once they've made it, they can pull it apart. That's what's so great about this. It's all about mechanical connection. There's nothing permanent here. So they can keep experimenting, pulling things apart, readjusting, re-refining everything, which is really an important part of any sort of creative activity, is making mistakes and trying to figure it out. There's a lot of balance involved with this as well, figuring out what balances and what doesn't. If you made a figure like this and the head was too big, it's probably going to fall over. What are some other things? They can use scissors, but I'm just going to move my little thing up here. They can use scissors to cut this, but again, once you introduce scissors, you'll probably find they're just going to cut and you'll have mess everywhere, which is fine. It's a lot of fun, but someone has to clean it up. Another thing you can do with this, like discussions that you can have with them about this particular material, is what was it used for, why do we need it, what was packaged in this, and why. I was going to show you the foam core. If you use this, you can make more sort of a flat single plane sculpture, just cutting shapes and pushing straight up into there and creating a base to hold it like this, so it sort of becomes a more abstract kind of abstract sculpture, really. But you could make boats, you could make all sorts of things. So have fun with that, and I hope you enjoy it.